Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hit and Hustle from OurSportsDaily.com. I'm your host, Greg Flammang, and with me, as always, is Jamie Uyeyama, Mr. Jamie University. It is Tuesday, October 28th. Notre Dame is coming off the bye week, ranked number 12 in the AP poll. I'm going to talk to Jamie about where he kind of thinks Notre Dame is in the national landscape after taking in a weekend of games. I took in a weekend of games. I've got some thoughts there. I want to talk about Notre Dame's offensive line and what we can expect from Sullivan Absher moving into the left guard position for the time being in place of Billy Schrauth, and why that's a little bit different in my mind than Notre Dame going with Joe Otting at center in place of Ashton Craig. We'll talk about Notre Dame's defense, and then we'll get into some offensive topics as well. And I have some BK thoughts to start the show. So that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a fun one. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. If you like what you hear, please hit that like button. Please hit subscribe. Please hit the notification bell. So whenever it is, we are going live. Links to the podcast, as always, are in the description below. And as always, the show is brought to you by ESQ Clothing, founded by Notre Dame alum Ga Wang. He is Chicago's go-to for the best custom suits, shirts, and sport coats. A lot of football programs are reloading with their coaching staff, and you can reload your wardrobe, Jamie. It's the time to refresh your wardrobe and add the perfect suit, sport coat, tuxedo, or casual jacket for fall. ESQ's master tailors combine next-level craftsmanship with the finest fabrics to deliver a fit that's built just for you. Now with showrooms both downtown Chicago and in Winnetka. Book your custom fitting at esqclothing.com and step into confidence with Chicago's finest. Mention ISD at your appointment and receive 10% off your entire purchase. That's esqclothing.com. It is not news to everyone in the Notre Dame fandom, certainly people who listen to our show. Brian Kelly was fired over the weekend by...
What?
So to catch some people up, Brian Kelly, former Notre Dame head football coach, and former defensive coordinator at Assumption College. I said Ascension on Twitter, which is bad, but it's Assumption College, former defensive coordinator at Assumption College. I mean, it was pretty clear. Like it was 49-18. It looked like it was a COVID level attendance crowd at the end there. I mean, it was obvious what was going to happen.
They were chanting "Fire Kelly."
Yeah, you simply cannot have that. You can't have that. I think a lot of people have shared their thoughts. Honestly, Jamie, I was ready to ride with you on your take yesterday on Power Hour about feeling bad for him because there is something in there. And to me, I've been thinking a lot about it. And it's like watching an ex go through someone you were with for like a decade, go through a messy breakup. And obviously, you know, you're in this scenario, you're currently in a relationship and you're very happy in that relationship. But like you did spend a decade with this person, and the way that it ended is going to leave, you know, a lot of negative feelings and things like that. It didn't have to end the way that it did. But you also kind of recognize that when you and this previous relationship got together, you were in a bad place. You were kind of floundering, and they kind of brought you to.
This is a good analogy.
They brought you to a better version of yourself, right? And they gave you a chance to, you know,
I'll
grow.
set you up to find the next better person.
Yeah, you find the next better person, right? Like that relationship ended. It wasn't the relationship for you, and it wasn't the end relationship, but it did help you grow, and it did help you become better. And now you sit here yourself a better person. I think that's where Notre Dame is with this. And obviously, like, you know, you remember the good times. Obviously, you're with someone for that long. And now Notre Dame is like, now I'll transition away from the relationship analogy of this. But like Notre Dame was with Notre Dame for a long time. And there were obviously some very, very highs, right? He took Notre Dame to a national title game in 2012. 2015 was a good season. 17 was a good season. I mean, the wins against USC, the win against Michigan in 2018, in 2020, obviously they go to the title game again. The Clemson game was special. And I think that the way that he, you know, got Notre Dame through the COVID year was genuinely impressive. And I think he did a very good job there. And obviously the way it ended is unacceptable and in many ways inexcusable, even though, you know, it's something that happens in the profession. And so that's where I'm at with it. Like, it's just, you could see it coming when he left. I think a lot of people were like, this isn't going to work, man. Like this isn't you going to LSU. This is not a Brian Kelly thing to do. And I think that he didn't have the self-awareness to understand that, even though that he got and maybe it was just about the bag, right? And maybe it was just like, hey, I get $100 million. No one's going to give me this money ever again. I'm going to take it and try to make it work. It did not work in the way that I think a lot of people thought. And Notre Dame's in a better place with Marcus Freeman and what he's got. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. Just, it's crazy to watch it end the way that it did, and to see someone who I felt like, you felt some kind of affinity for while he was at Notre Dame because of the things that he did. Obviously, everyone knew his flaws, but it's just as the wheel turns, as they say, and it's just college football, and everyone kind of moves on. So that's my take on it, Jamie. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think that's a spot on analogy, actually. Listen, I don't think, people shouldn't be, there is like a lot of glee in him getting fired. Understandably, because people remember not just the way he left, but they remember Michael Parks is bringing up all these things about there were so many different times where it was like, man, this is not really working at Notre Dame, right? And where he clearly wasn't doing a good job in certain areas. And you could point to a bunch of bad hires that he had, assistant coaches, not just coordinators, position coaches, that he got kind of lucky with some of his later hires too, and all that. And there was a lot of things that kind of were, as Park said, red flags, big time red flags.
Yeah.
But I think that when there's someone like that who he's never been fired, he's literally just gone up, up, up the whole time.
Yeah.
And he hasn't won a national championship in, obviously he won in D2, right? He
right.
won Grand Valley State. I mean, those count. Those are good. I mean, you win at any level. It's a big deal. But he won a ton. He won a ton. And, he didn't. And the thing is, failing up. Yeah, there's red flags. I mean, he won. There's so many other guys who flame out. So, you can't call him a failure.
I mean, there's the Cincinnati stuff. I mean, there's Signetti vibes there. With
100%. That's why he hired at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
He and he goes to Central Michigan, and they want all of it kind of led up to what it was. And you got to remember too, you can say there were certain breaks that went their way. Notre Dame wasn't winning those things. And they got it worked out in a certain way where, they made the playoff and they made the national championship game. And then obviously they were clearly outclassed at those points, but no one else, they had basically for 30 years had, or 20 years before that, had guys who couldn't even come close to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, what he did, he deserves some credit. He deserves some credit, and a lot of it is now all of his bad kind of coming out in the worst way. And also too, he's just, you're old, bro. You're old. You're 64 years old, and it's it's a hard new challenge going into a different environment and all that. And I do want to mention, because somebody brought up about the Josh Pate thing, and whatever, we're not here to dunk on people or whatever, but when you dunk on yourself like this, I feel it's fair game to bring it up. And Matt, retweeted it, about him. You can go check out Matt Freeman's thing. I'm not going to read it out.
Yeah.
Word for word.
I mean, basically it was just he thought it was beyond a grand slam, is what he said, the Brian Kelly hire. And it was no one, he had talked to no one, but a logical reason why it wasn't going to work. And I think it's kind of hard because you're dealing with Notre Dame fans specifically who know every little thing about Brian Kelly and why things have worked and why they didn't work. And it is what it is. I mean, obviously it looks bad, especially when he's the program is going to basically be in shambles for like he's like watch what happens to the program after he leaves, and obviously 3 years later
that is the part that is
that is the part that's
take.
the part. And then like honestly the Prius thing, like Notre Dame should absolutely lean into the Prius thing 100%. Like they should use this and which is no shade on Pate or whatever. It because look, we all have terrible takes, right? It happens, especially someone like him who is like he's giving takes all the time.
Takes,
like every day he's giving takes. Right?
I don't care. Whatever. The guy's an idiot. I don't care about. I'll call it out. That's all they do is takes.
Right. But
actually, do some research. Watch some ball. Learn some ball. Pete doesn't know ball. I can tell you that. He knows takes. That's his job. Fine. But guess what? When you give a bad take like that, eat it.
He has. I mean, to be clear, he has. Right.
Oh, so I'm sure he'll come up and be like, "Well, listen, no.
Yeah.
Shut up. He sucks." I don't care. I'm never going to work for a company that he's going to work for anyways. So I don't mind saying it. He's terrible. He's terrible. I have no idea why any college football fan watches that when there's a million other guys that you can find out that are way more informed. Just even on whatever. I'm not big on national college football programs for the most part, but there are definitely a lot of people out there who are very knowledgeable and can tell you a lot of stuff about different teams and learn about games, and you'll be entertained as well. I don't think this guy offers anything. He's terrible. He sucks. I'm allowed to say it. I'm saying it.
You're very allowed to say it in America.
In Canada, I'm
in Canada, right?
Yeah.
Robert Hallecky he wants to. For the record, Priuses are very efficient getting you where you need to go. So Robert wants to defend the honor of Priuses, like not for nothing. It's a nice vehicle. I think to bring it back to like kind of Marcus Freeman in this too. I think the thing that Kelly did, and it was kind of clear what like this was his goal, is you can't, and he didn't do this in Notre Dame. You can't go be the CEO guy at a place that you are unfamiliar with. Like you got to get in it and you have to be on like the ground level of everything. That's why Marcus Freeman, when he was like, I am the lead recruiter on every recruit, like he clipped like yesterday, they asked Tyler James asked him a question about walk-ons and scout team or the scout team guys. And he names off 20 guys just off the top of his head from scout team. Right. When you have that kind of relationship with your roster, when you have that kind of relationship with your team from the recruiting aspect, from the scouting aspect, like the scout team aspect, like that's what makes it okay for you to then, if you're going to yell at a player, like that you have credibility there because you have a relationship. Like every time you watch Brian Kelly in LSU, he's just screaming at guys. And because of the way that he is, it's like, do you know this guy? Like, do you really know him? Right. And that's where you lose the team. And I think that's, an area where Marcus Freeman has excelled. Right. Which isn't to say Marcus Freeman is perfect. Right. He is not. But there's a difference there. And it's why it doesn't work. I mean, look, I don't think Dabo is this way, but like Dabo is kind of in that point where it's like, you're just the CEO guy. Like, what are you bringing to the table, right? What is Brian Kelly bringing to the table that isn't just, I walk around with my hands in my pockets and say, that's no good, right? Like, you guys got to do better. So it's just,
I will say Dabo's guys love him.
For sure.
And that is something where, and I'm speaking as someone like, as, son of a, longtime high school football coach who was like, from a different era, and he coached guys hard, and I could totally see people, bristle. Like I definitely, if like this new generation, he could coach a lot of kids today, but my dad was very hard on kids, but he was also like give him a kick in the butt, but he would also give him the pat on the back, and had that kind of relationship with guys, and guys would do anything for him. And like, he's 75 years old. He has former players. Like my dad, he's not like an email guy. He like gets emails from random, players that he had, whatever, that just are like, hey, I just wanted to, wonder if we could grab lunch or whatever, like all this stuff all the time, and it's like people he hasn't talked to in like 20 years and stuff that do that. And, I don't know if Brian Kelly, from everything that I know from him at Notre Dame, certainly I don't imagine a lot of his LSU guys are going to be super tight with him. I don't think a lot of the guys at Notre Dame, certainly they're guys who were at Notre Dame who are tight with their position coaches and stuff during the time. I don't think too many guys had a really like tight relationship with him where there was the joke about Travis Kelce because he coached him at Cincinnati, and it was like, oh, is Brian Kelly's going to get invited to the Taylor Swift wedding? I don't think he's getting the invite, guys. I don't think so. Doesn't seem like they're super tight. So that's just kind of what it is. But maybe his tight end coach from there was. Now I got to think who the tight end coach was. It's probably someone who was on staff at Notre Dame at some point. But I don't know. I just think it's like that. And then when you win, people just brush it aside. But when you're not winning, it comes out. That's why, like, the purple BK, meme, like,
yeah,
it's stuck around.
It resonates. Yeah, for sure. Jamie, watched a lot of football this last weekend, and I'm curious, there's going to be a lot of talk about Notre Dame in the playoffs and whether they're deserving and things of that nature. So interestingly, where do you think Notre Dame kind of sits in the national landscape right now? Did you watch the A&M LSU game?
I mean, I didn't watch all of it. I watched some of it, obviously, when it was.
So here's the thing, right? I think on that day when Notre Dame played, A&M was extremely beneficial in where Notre Dame was at that point.
Yeah.
I do think, though, that I think Notre Dame was beneficial in a sense that, like, A&M also didn't have the knowledge of like how to use all of their weapons now. And I was like, man, A&M is offensively. I still don't think defensively they're very good. I think they're okay. I don't think they're very good on defense. I mean, with the exception of like when Cassius Howell when he can. That first sack on Nussmeier was like intense.
Insane.
I was like, man, that's one of the more impressive things
that was like
in a long time.
Go on right to the NFL right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That was a clear, like, very obvious at that point. Texas, there's no way A&M's losing this game. But I think
he was allowed to bark like he was barking after
exactly. Like, that's all right. Let it happen. I do think the way that A&M is now using the weapons that they have, and they have a lot of weapons, that's pretty scary. So I would be very honestly, like, I do kind of think, even with the changes Notre Dame's made defensively, I think if they played again, I think it would go very similarly, just because
it would be a shootout.
There is so many ways for them to move the ball, and Marcel Reed, he'll still throw you the ball, but he'll do some things.
That is the key, really.
Yeah,
because if you think about it, it was the key in that game too. He threw them the ball a bunch. They just only caught it once.
Yeah,
right. They only caught it once. So I think that's the thing, like what it would probably come down to in that game. And I think obviously Notre Dame would do a lot of things differently
for sure
in that game. But yeah, I do think A&M has really taken a big jump on offense, where I think it's funny because I think with Miami, I really don't think that they've gotten better.
No.
And I know
that's the one actually where I feel very confident if they played next week, Notre Dame would win by maybe a couple touchdowns, actually.
Oh, they would play it differently, even though that D line is still great and those guys are still great. They would probably just max protect a lot more and just they would double those edges as much as possible.
Yeah.
And they would throw it on them. And and I also think too, they would just lean into the run and just run more and have more success. So I do think that, A&M, I don't know if they're, because like you said, their defense isn't that great. I do think they have some issues in their kind of like their back seven that I think are problems. And I don't think that they have quite they just, if they really had that D line from last year with Howell and all that, like, man, that could be something, but I just don't think they kind of have that. But I would put A&M and Notre Dame, they're in that same contenders. Like, A&M could go on a run and win it. Like that, I do think that
they absolutely can. I agree with that.
And so I would say too, like, so right now, if you look at like F+, right, like Ohio State is first, and they should be first, right? Like that totally makes sense, and their defense just looks unbelievable. They played no one, so you're going to see when they're, the schedule gets a little bit tougher for them, and obviously Texas looks like just not like as tough of a matchup as it did earlier in the year.
No.
And Indiana, like, I think looks really good, but I mean, going on winning on the road at Oregon, I think is a big deal. Like it is a big deal because it's always hard to win at Oregon.
Because even if Oregon is overrated,
that's still a hard place to win.
That's still a hard place to go win. And they're not. They may be overrated, but they're not terrible. You know what I mean? Like they're not some sleeping, like under the radar bad team. Like they're still good. It's just I don't know how good they are. Like I do think they are probably overrated, but it's still very difficult to go in there.
And then to me too, when I see Indiana is a lot like Notre Dame, where you just watch them and you're like, they just kind of take care of business.
Yeah,
they're just better than the teams, and they're just like beating them. And that just like where it's, even if it's close, it's not really close. And Oregon, it's tough. The Oregon thing, if anyone saw any of that game, it was
do you think USC could beat them?
I think it's definitely possible.
I think they could beat them. It's in Autzen, so that there's that, but
that would be my one thing to be like, I would probably pick Oregon still.
For sure.
Because if it was at the Coliseum, I would go with USC, but it's possible. It's definitely possible. And I think USC needs to get healthy at some certain spots too. And I think that's there. But I mean, I don't know. I think, like, to me, Georgia and Alabama, and I know everyone's all over Bama, I just haven't been that blown away by them. I just haven't. Like, I kind of think when you're like really gimmicky, you got to like throw the ball to your tackle, to get like some plays like that. When it's that kind of thing, it's like, you got to do it every week.
Do you think they do that because they have to, or because they just want to do it for fun? Like,
I think they want to do it for fun. I think that's a lot of it, but just like, I don't know. I just don't. It's weird. Like, they should be way better up front. They're not good. Like, they have dudes on the offensive line, but they're just not dominant. They don't look like old Bama.
It's been that way for a few years now with their offensive line.
And I honestly, on defense too, they just don't look the same to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're still very talented, and they would, be a very tough team to play. But I just don't think that they're in that same thing where I mean, to me, I put like Ohio State right now. I would just put them above everybody else. I just think that they're kind of like in that top tier where they're the clear favorite. And then to me, it's like Indiana, Oregon, ND, A&M, and then like Bama, I would probably put there, but I just am not super duper high on them. I think they're kind of like almost on the fringe there. And then to me, after that, then it's like Georgia, Ole Miss. Like Ole Miss, props for winning that game but their defense has got a ton of issues. And I think they need a lot of like turnover luck and all that. And to me, it's like them and like Vandy and all those teams are in like that next class to me. That's just from watching them and not even just looking at like, hey, I'm looking at like where they stack up in terms of like ratings or anything like that. Like when I just watch them, I just think, I don't know. Like I would never pick on a neutral field. I wouldn't pick like Vandy to beat Notre Dame. Not that they couldn't beat Notre Dame, they could, but I wouldn't pick them to.
No.
And I don't think a lot of people would, right? And I think that's how most kind of people feel about it. And it's kind of amazing to say that after obviously Notre Dame started 0-2, but I just think the way
you just have to look at how teams are playing, like they're playing how they're playing. I mean, and the thing is like their metrics bear it out too. You know, like the metrics show it, and it looked this way last year. I mean, they are bench essentially playing with a worse record, obviously, but they're essentially playing at the level they were last year. You know, and they have, and the thing is like they have more weapons offensively, you know, because of like a Price and Love, but now you have the passing game as well, and you have the quarterback. The offensive line is obviously a question mark, right? And we're going to get to that in a second, but it's like when you just look at how Notre Dame plays, like it's not that I think Notre Dame would definitely beat Alabama or Georgia or anything like that, because I don't believe that at all. I think it would be like they would be toss-up games, right?
Yeah,
similar to the A&M game, similar to and look, the A&M game, like Notre Dame's leading for most of the game. I mean, it's literally a 4th and 11 that they need to stop, and they win. And now they're like one of the favorites, in my opinion. If they stop that 4th and goal, like they are one of the favorites to win the title. And people like they want to dismiss them because I think it's their natural inclination to want to dismiss Notre Dame after they fall 0-2. And there's like a national level kind of they can't keep getting away with this type of thing with Notre Dame. And they want them out. But if they had just stopped that, I mean, they're
would have been the highest ranked one-loss team
for sure.
I think so. Like just like ahead of Oregon, I think.
Yeah. So you look at Vandy is. I feel like Vandy in some ways is the Indiana of last year.
Yes, that's good call.
So I just feel like they're there and they're clearly good, but not quite ready yet. Especially when like they beat LSU, which is kind of a shell of a team.
Yeah, those LSU wins don't look so good now, right?
Yeah.
They're playing at Texas this week, and I don't know. I think Arch, I believe, maybe got concussed in the.
Yeah, he 100% got concussed.
Yeah, so I imagine he won't play this week. So I mean, who knows?
Where is the game?
In Austin. So
in Austin, okay.
So. I mean, that's a game, Sark. You got to win that game.
I mean, it's an elimination
like,
for them. Yeah, it's an elimination game.
But like that is just one of those things where it's like, man, I mean, if Clark Lee wins that game, whew.
I mean, it's the big brand, right? It's the big brand against the mom and pop shop, right? Or mom and pop shop. It's the the large corporation against the little guy. And we love to support the little guy, right, Jamie? And you can do that this holiday season when you're shopping for gifts for whoever it might be. You need to get a little something for somebody, for your child's teacher, for maybe that's someone that helps around that comes to take care of your yard or takes care of something, takes care of your pool, whatever it might be. You need something, and it's like, I don't want to go to C's Candies all the time. Everyone goes to C's Candies. Then you can support a small business in Goods Candies. It's a small Indiana-based chocolate company with recipes going back 100 years. 100 years, Jamie. As long as the USC Notre Dame rivalry that they're trying to end. They are a small batch producer of decadent confections ranging from toffee to cream centers to their latest offering, peanut butter bombs. Forrest Gump said, "Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get." Goods Candies actually wants you to know what you're getting. Its cream centers have a unique design, so you'll always know what's waiting inside. All varieties are offered in milk and dark chocolate. For the business listeners, Goods Candies offers customized chocolate bar gift boxes. These aren't customized wrappers like you get at the bank. These are customized chocolate bars that include your logo or a message. These make the ideal client gift, and Goods Candies can handle all shipping for you. Their website is www.goodscandies.com. Viewers can save 20% off through the end of the year with promo code ISD. Place your order online or reach out to Goods Candies at goodscandies.com with questions. Support good candies, Jamie.
I'm excited to try it.
I'm excited to try it, and we are going to try it. It's going to be delightful. Love chocolate. I love chocolate. Brandon McElinden of 1 Foot Down does not like chocolate, and so he will not take advantage of this. He doesn't like chocolate. I guess his body rejects. I don't know. It's one of these things. It's like an allergy or something. I don't know. But look, it is what it is. You gotta do what your body calls for. Let's talk about Notre Dame on the offensive line. It's going to be Sullivan Absher at left guard in place of Billy Schrouth for some period of time. And so it's going to be Anthony Knapp left tackle, Sullivan Absher left guard, Joe Otting center, Gerby Lambert right guard, and Emil Wagner at right tackle. What are your expectations for Ashton? Let's just start here for Sullivan Absher. What are your expectations for him coming in at left guard?
Well, okay. Why don't you start with what you were saying to me before the show, because I think that's a good way, and I'll kind of like.
Sure. So when Joe Otting replaced Ashton Craig, it was kind of similar in the way that Pat Coogan replaced Ashton Craig, where I thought I knew that Notre Dame staff felt good about Otting, and I know you felt good about Otting from the limited times you've seen them play, but I know you've heard things and I know you've seen things that you were impressed by. And so I was fairly confident that Joe Otting could come in and play well, because there's also the context that he wasn't a starter because there was someone better ahead of him. So it's like, man, it's very possible for Notre Dame to just have two good centers. But like Ashton Craig is older, he's been in the program longer, and he's just the better player overall. So it's like, we'll play, but the backup can also just be a good player, right? And we've seen that before, not just at offensive line, but at other positions as well. Whereas Sullivan Absher, he was supposed to be in a timeshare with Gerby Lambert, and that kind of went away. Now, you can make the case that it would have gone away regardless. But I think it's a little bit different context when it's like they planned to play him and then they didn't. That kind of fell off. And then now he's thrust into a starting role because of an injury. So my sense is that Joe Otting is a better replacement for the starter than Sullivan Absher would be. So I also think Sullivan Absher is a good player. But I think we're going to see more reason, like we're going to be able to identify the reasons why, this is why he lost out the job to Gerby Lambert, who was not established. So I think there's going to be a little bit more, that's why, I see it now, right? Kind of like we see with Gerby Lambert, to be honest, where it's like sometimes he loses his feet, and he loses his balance or loses a block or whatever it might be. It's like, that's why he didn't win the job outright out of camp. I think we're going to see some of that stuff from Sullivan Absher. So I'm a little less confident in Sullivan Absher coming in and playing at a high level than I was like someone like Joe Otting.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of, I remember in like 2018 when Alex Bars went down. And that was obviously, he was Notre Dame's best lineman at that time. And it was significant when he was injured. And then if you recall, during that time, the first option they went to was Trevor Ruland, who played for a little bit. And then eventually they went with Aaron Banks. And then Banks took over and then obviously became a multi-year starter and an All-American, did great. Yeah. But if you look at like the next year, Ruland, when they had injuries, Kramer got hurt, and then Hainsey got hurt, and then Ruland and Josh Lugg ended up playing on that right side. And clearly you could see Trevor Ruland, he was a scrapper, a guy who played hard, certainly a guy who, worked hard to finish in the run game, but you saw his limitations and why, why it was obvious why they were like, well, we're going to ride with Aaron Banks, even though you might be a little bit better than him now, or maybe he do assignment more or whatever the reason was before. But, the limitations were going to kind of only take him so far. And he filled in well when he played, but he was not going to against anyone who was like really good, he was going to struggle, right? He was going to struggle against guys because of like physical limitations. So I think with Absher, it's not really like physical limitations, obviously, but I think there are things there specifically, like for me, it's always been like pass pro with him of like, what he can handle and all that. So I do think like, yeah, of course there's going to be like a drop. Billy Trout, anyone who watched Billy Trout against USC and just how he's played the whole year, he's been Notre Dame's best lineman. So in a lot of ways, it is like losing Alex Bars because it is that same thing. So that is going to hurt. You're going to be worse. Like that is an automatic. It's just like you're going to see it's not going to be at the same level. And it's just how high of a level can Absher get to? And, is he someone that really like, because when I watch Sullivan Absher, and believe me, when I'm watching some of these other teams, like Sullivan Absher could start on like just about every team that Notre Dame has played this year, just about, probably not Miami or A&M. That's it. Could start on any of those other teams. So you have to take that context into it. But also when we're talking about like what the level that Notre Dame is at, it's going to drop. And I also think though that the whole point is, which hopefully happens for Notre Dame, is that you're not going to get Ashton Craig back. Obviously, he's out for the season. But at some point, you get Trout back. Who knows what's going to happen with Jugasa? We don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully, though, that he would be able to come back. If he missed the whole year because of this thing, wow, would that be just like a colossal just disappointment for everyone involved. But if you can like insert one or two of those guys, it changes it. And if you look at where they're at and like who they're playing down the stretch, like BC, check out the scouting reports up for people who want to look at it. BC stinks. They're bad. Like their defensive line is not good. And their best defensive tackles only played 3 games this year. They're very undersized. Like this is a game where people might get a false sense of Sullivan Absher, to be honest. They might be like, Absher's just killing guys. Like, oh my gosh. And it just could look like that because of who they're going against. And then Navy's not good on defense either. So it could look really good. Pitt better. They're better on defense. So that is really the only game, though, where you're looking at it and you're like, oh, this is going to be a big test, because really, if Absher can't pass the tests of Navy and BC and Stanford and Syracuse, then that is like big time concerning, But really what it comes down to is like, how's he going to play against Pitt? And do they get the other guys back for the playoff, right? And that's the thing. But who knows? This is also one of these situations where sometimes a guy gets a chance and he actually just gets real playing time where he doesn't have the thing of like, hey, you screwed up, you're out of the game. We're putting somebody else in.
Well, not only that, it doesn't matter how you do. They're taking you out anyway because that's the plan.
Yeah. But it could be just the kind of thing where all of a sudden you're like, wow, Sullivan Absher is just that, because no one was saying that when Rocco Spindler and Pat Coogan went into the lineup last year. No one was like, let's go. Like, like this is what the whole line needed. No one was saying that.
Yeah.
No one was saying that. Turns out those guys end up playing significantly better than they did the season before. So we'll see where it's at, and we'll see there. But to me, the main concern on the O-line is like, if one other guy goes down at this point in time, it's a big time concern.
Yeah.
Because you haven't heard like, oh, Chris Tarek is like, he's ready. Or like, Will Black is coming off a concussion. I think he might be, cleared for this week, but I don't know. Maybe his concussion's bad. And it's like, obviously Matty Augustine has a concussion. They're moving defensive linemen to play on scout team to help them out right now, which shows like where they're at in terms of like depth on the offensive line. They got a lot of injuries because Peter Jones, if for people don't know, he's like been out, right? But I don't know. I mean, I guess he hasn't really been mentioned, but like, and he's only playing tackle, but like Styles Prescott is probably the next guy.
Oh yeah,
I would think he's probably the next guy.
Yeah, and I guess in fairness, a little bit on like the Chris Tarek's, and it's hard to know how ready the 10th guy is or
it's impossible.
The 11th guy.
It's impossible,
right? So like maybe they are a little bit more.
No
ready,
one's in a good situation.
But to your point, another injury is not a good thing. Right now, we're dealing in the unknowns. Rajon asks, how valuable is the extra week to get Absher up to speed? It's a pretty big deal. I think just to get him acclimated into the offensive line and just get him a week to, get them all working together. And he gets to be used to, all right, I'm the starting left guard now. Because it's possible. Look, just because guys have to stay ready and, they are, they're in a timeshare, whatever, like doesn't mean everyone reacts and can play well to that sort of environment, right? That's difficult when you're in a timeshare. Sometimes you do need, it's better for guys to say, this is my job. I can just play free. And if I make a mistake, like they're going to work with me. They're not just going to take me out of the game, right? Some guys just need that. Chris Waworka asks, how long is Billy Strouth out? At the very least, I would say the next couple of games. At the very least, I don't expect to see him against obviously not Boston College. I don't expect to see him against Navy, and then so I think Pitt is probably the earliest.
Pitt would be the earliest, yeah.
So just something Notre Dame's going to have to deal with. So obviously the Jag thing people are asking about, just it's a bummer. It's a real bummer, man. Like a broken arm in July or whatever it was is now it's like it could cost him
the whole season. Who knows?
It could cost him the whole season.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. So it just you gotta adjust and you gotta be ready for whatever comes your way. What's coming your way with the pickleball scene is some stuff going on with the Syracuse week with H2 Pickleball. You can get involved with that. It's, of course, H2 Pickleball is founded by Notre Dame alum Todd Hill. He's teaming with fellow alums Jack Gibbs and Will House, who's a top 10 pickleball pro, to bring Notre Dame fans to Notre Dame Pickleball Crew League. Besides football, what better way to connect and engage Notre Dame fans than through pickleball? Membership is free, and members will have access to special pickleball events and discounts. The next event will be a Will House Pickleball Clinic on the Friday before the Syracuse game. Members will also get discounted tickets to that Syracuse game. Contact Todd at h2pickleball.com or call him at 574-339-5195 to join the league. Be sure to visit the H2 Pickleball facility in Mishawaka when you are in town. H2 Pickleball is located at 55801 Evergreen Plaza Drive in Mishawaka, Indiana. A good one of the main talking points yesterday was Christian Gray. And Marcus Freeman talked about how he said dealing. I don't know if he actually said the word injured. Did he say the word injured? I should know this because I was actually transcribing it for the site. But it certainly indicated that he was not fully healthy, right? He's dealing with something. What I will say to that is I don't know what it might be. What I will say is at some point in the USC game, there was a clear deviation from how he covers guys to how he was covering guys. And he was just laboring. I called them non-competitive reps, which is what they were. If he was hurt, then it honestly would make sense to me because he usually doesn't look like that.
Honestly, probably before the pick, if they were watching it closely, they kind of could have taken him out and been like, you're just not healthy enough to go based on those reps.
Yeah. And to be honest, and someone had said, why in response to what I was transcribing, someone was like, why wouldn't you go with Mark Zachary And it's one of those things where you're not going to, and coaches are like this, they're not going to turn their back on someone with the experience and just the level of reps that they've had in big time
Also, a guy who's
situations.
come back from adversity and made plays multiple times, like he did in this game again, too. So.
Like you are going to count on him. What I will say though is against Boston College, I mean, certainly against Navy, and I kind of want to get your thought on this. One of the pickleball guys actually had brought up you could engage Jalen Stroman in the Navy game in a way that
could be a huge game for him, actually.
Yeah. You could engage him in that Navy game in a way that like you could get, because I know that, Christian Gray played reps against Navy last year, but like if you wanted to get Jalen Stroman engaged in like the running game from the safety position, I know Tay Johnson has played corner before. I might consider doing that, putting it like opposite Leonard Moore if Christian Gray is laboring, because like the idea of Mark Zachary and Dallas Golden against Navy makes me a little bit nervous, maybe a good bit nervous, or maybe you get a Don Schuler out there at corner. I wouldn't do that either. But Tay Johnson has played corner at Notre Dame in his career. It might be something to consider to get Jalen Stroman out there if you feel like Christian Gray's getting beat up. Give him a little bit of time. But at the very least, against Boston College, against Navy, you need to be able to get Christian Gray off the field. It's not sustainable for him, as we've seen.
Yeah, and you know what? Like last year, if you look at it, like, I mean, obviously it's a different game because you're not playing with 5 DBs at any point. Like it's not a nickel game, right? So, like last year, Jordan Clark played 7 snaps.
Yes.
And he was kind of playing safety.
Yeah.
And Rod Hurd played 1 snap in the game. I mean, those guys, obviously both of the guys played a ton. I mean, Clark never left the field basically, like, but those guys played a ton before and they just didn't play that much.
Yeah.
In that game, we'll say Christian Gray, played 57 snaps. So he played more than Leonard Moore in that game. He tied with Schuler and Watts. So, and there is that experience factor. So it just depends. Like, it depends how really hurt he is. I mean, if he's really hurt, like he shouldn't play in this game. Like, there's no way he should play in this game, and you should just get him ready as much as you can, especially because you're going to play a team in Pitt. Well, one, Navy is like it's a critically important game. They're a team that can score a lot. They can do a lot of different things. They're really good at play action stuff too. And you don't want to be in a situation where if he can play and be totally healthy, you want to have him completely healthy in that game. And then when you play Pitt, they are like an up-tempo team.
Yeah.
And they are going to play fast. And that is the kind of game, if you're hurt and you try to play, you might not finish the game just because of like how much like the pace that they play.
Yeah.
And that's like, definitely something to worry about. Right. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, that Navy game is going to be interesting because I do think that like that could easily be like a game like Stroman, I think, could actually play like a huge role in that game. Obviously, Schuler's going to play a big role in that game and all that. But I mean, Tay Johnson will play a big role in some way. But that is kind of a intriguing thing, especially if he's hurt. In that game, that is the kind of game where you do that. Like a little bit. Remember when they used Love at safety?
Yeah, against Army.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something to think about. You can't let him, especially now, like Marcus Freeman has voiced it too, right? So like it now you're alerting the opponent that there's some physical problem with one of your players. That's interesting. Patrick Ball W20 says, does Notre Dame being more gap sound and better against the run this year actually help more against Navy?
Yes, I mean it does, but it's not. It's so different than playing like any other game that it's not really the same.
It's
You
just
can't
basically,
really
are you doing your assignment?
just are you doing your assignment, right?
Yeah.
Like so, it's and I would say like you just see, there's guys who are playing well, but it's like guys can play well all year, and then you go against Navy, and you're like, man, this guy had a terrible game because it's just a different game. It's just like you can't even compare it. You can't even really compare it, which is why like Greer Martini was like friggin', basically he was Dick Butkus versus Navy, but he was just a regular human versus everybody else.
Regular human. I mean, the good part for Notre Dame is, it's speaking of depth that they don't have on offense, but they do have on defense, is you have guys like Junior Hachuli Halamaka who have very good experience against Navy. You have Jalen Sneed, who has very good experience against a team like Navy, right? Like,
they got a ton of guys, yeah.
Yeah, like they have so many players that you can activate in that specific kind of game. And that's obviously, super helpful. So that's a good thing. What do you make of Marcus Freeman's comments about the red zone yesterday?
About him talking about like how it's just them kind of like figuring out what they like I felt it was a very like non-answer answer, which I not unexpected, because he's not going to give away and say like, hey, this is whatever. And then also he can't be too critical of like a coach or
for sure
player.
And he doesn't want to give away what they are planning to do and things like that.
I would be shocked if they don't have a different kind of plan coming out of this bye week with some of the red zone short yardage stuff.
Let me ask you this in a different way. Are you surprised that of all the things that they've tried, they've never like dialed up like a slot fade to like Eli Raridan?
Oh, like this year at all in that situation?
Like in the red zone. Like he doesn't have a touchdown.
That is kind of surprising to me, to be honest. I don't know.
It just seems like there's such a, and look, they've CJ Carr, and this is one of the things that he's been like really inefficient about. He has overthrown Malachi Fields in the red zone
so much.
Yes, it's a big problem because he's a real weapon. Like he's 4 of 11 on contested catches this year. I can't remember times when I was like, oh, he definitely had a chance to come down with it and he didn't. I feel like those are all
maybe like one of them, I think against Will Lee,
like on the slants, but that's not really what I'm talking about. You got to throw it up to him and give him an actual shot.
Every one that he's had a shot, he's brought down.
Yeah,
he has, and that's true. I don't really think I think that's 100% right. He has not been good with those. So I mean that's part of it too. I mean, traditionally it is like one of the most least efficient throws in the red zone.
For sure. I mean, it's the trope of like another goal line fade or whatever it is, but like you're like not doing it ever. Like
not doing it ever, yes. Especially when you aren't running it in easy. Like I think that is definitely something. When it's just been enough times that it's looked like that. I'm kind of shocked that they haven't tried just more of everything, really. Like that we didn't see like Minchie or Buckner once in those situations. Like kind of thought it would have happened by now. Now I think that it's like maybe that's just passed and they're just not going to do it. And that's just, whatever. But just since they did stuff like, okay, we're going to do the Wildcat, but like shift over. And I was like, what is this? like, I don't understand this. CJ Carr, please block somebody, but we don't really want you to block somebody. Like,
and the funny thing is like that would be more effective if it was Buckner.
Yes.
Because then it's like, oh, they put him in the game. Oh, they're faking it to him. Like, you actually have to look at him. No one believes CJ Carr is going to get the ball on a run play like that. But you would with Tyler Buckner.
Even his touchdown was kind of like, he was kind of lucky that the guy pulled up from USC. He would have scored. He was in the end zone. But I was like, Pierce, the safety, 24. Yeah. I was like, why are you letting up, dude? You could have just destroyed him.
He could have lit him.
What are you doing?
And even then, like, CJ was stunned. Like, he was.
He was. Well, because he's not used to doing that. It's like Leonard knows, like, I'm leaning. I'm going forward. I'm twisting my body.
I will give you my shoulder. Yeah.
Carr does not have that. It's like he doesn't have that awareness because he's never had to do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not really like a huge criticism of him. It's just that's not what he has to do. It's just like, you ask somebody to do something that they've never really done before. It's like, yeah, of course it's not going to look great. It's just like, why all of a sudden when someone's like, man, Keydron Young should be in there and he should be a fullback. It's like, well, has he ever blocked as a fullback? Because if he hasn't, might not be that simple, you know, like, yes. And I'm aware Keydron Young isn't available. I'm just talking about just hypothetically, but yeah, that kind of thing. Like, I don't know. I do hope you just see something different.
Yeah. Rajon said, weren't they going to Raridan versus SC at the goal line? I don't believe it was him. It was designed to go to a tight end for sure. I don't know that it was Raridan.
The one that they were sneaking him out.
Oh, wait, no, it was Flammang in the corner, and then it was Raridan. I think. But here's the thing. That's not like calling a shot for a player. That is, we're trying to trick them. Like, just get a matchup and exploit the matchup is basically what I'm asking for, right?
Yeah.
And especially at the goal line, because of the way that they're going to defend the run down there, you can get a matchup. Like, they cannot bracket your tight end on the goal line like that. Like, you can get exactly what you want every time. So I'm just surprised that they haven't gone to something like that, because I feel like it's just kind of sitting there. So, but we'll see what that is. I think that's a good place for us to end it today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you like what you heard, hit that like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. So it is. We are going live. We'll be back on Thursday, for our Boston College preview. And we'll hear from. We're going to be monitoring there are a lot of guys on the injury report. We think that might be it might be a little bit rosier on Thursday, just because of the mechanics of the bye week and when they practice and when they release the injury report and that sort of thing. So we'll be back on Thursday. It will be 1 Eastern time again on Thursday. So keep that in mind, everybody. I think it's going to be that for a little bit because of scheduling stuff that's going on with us. So yeah, have a good rest of your day. We will talk to you on Thursday. Keep hitting and hustling.